Today, I want to talk about pride. So, I had mentioned that I'd watched a movie, a 2015 movie about Steve Jobs, and it showed Steve's unwillingness to bend or to change for anybody else. Now, some people could just say, well, that's just confidence. He exhibited a lot of confidence, but he was estranging people around him. And somebody who's supremely confident is also able to take criticism, is able to and willing to listen to what other people have to say, and actually consider their opinions and change their course. Now, Jobs could be stubborn to the point of not only not doing or listening or paying attention to what other people said and really hearing it, but to the point where he was damaging relationships. All right. And when I watched that movie, I actually saw elements of what Jobs did in the way I've responded to people in the past as well. So I saw how he had, in at least the way a movie portrayed it, reacted to his ex-wife, to his closest business associates, to friends, and really damaged those relationships. And I think back to some of the relationships that I've had in the past where I allowed my pride to develop this barrier with other people and then end up losing what would otherwise be a good friendship or a good relationship, romantic relationship. And even, close familial relationships where my pride did damage to those relationships. Now, some of those I've repaired, but there are others that may never be repaired, like just because the people passed away or they're not around or whatever. But the thing I want to bring out here is the whole issue of pride, because this, I think, infects most people. Humility is it's not popular. Humility, being humble, is not popular at all, right? I mean, just the fact that I'm recording this YouTube video and people are going to see it, I suppose there would be some pride associated with that, because I'm putting this video out on the internet so other people can see it. Of course, to be honest, I'm hoping that people will like it. But they may not, and I'm okay with that too. But my pride would say, oh, I hope people like it and they comment on it, that it's been helpful to them and all that. But the pride goes deeper than that. It's even more caustic than that. And I think about times when I've commented on videos, and I've commented on them particularly because I disagreed with what the video maker had stated in the video. And so I had to say something to either correct what that person said or to expand on it or something in order to, I guess, satisfy my own pride that, okay, I got to add my 2 cents. Like what I have to say might be valuable. And otherwise, why would I bother? Why would I spend the time to comment on a video and give my opinion, which may be contrary to the opinion of the author of the video, unless it was just to satisfy my own pride? Because there's no point in that, really. I mean, what? Am I so concerned that he's going to steer other people wrong or that they're getting the wrong information from his video. I'm sure there's hundreds of millions of other videos that have opinions that I disagree with. And it's not like I'm going to go and comment on all those other videos or somehow correct what they're saying either. So it's ridiculous. It's futile, right? Because even if I give my opinion, it doesn't mean that I'm going to help change anybody else's opinion about what he said in his video. But I, as a human being, like most, have this feeling of pride of I'm right and that person's wrong, and I'm going to let them know. Now, as I'm feeling that pride, as I become aware of this feeling of pride, when I start to react to something like that, I stop myself now and I really think about it and I say, well, wait a minute. Why am I doing this? Why am I wanting to give a response? Why am I going to spend my time on this? Is it just so that I can satisfy my pridefulness? Because that's a crazy reason to do it. And then I can just let that feeling of pride come up and then release it. So what I see, though, is that pride becomes like a prison. Because growing up, as a child growing up, I basically was kind of a nerd, so I ended up gravitating toward my academic skills, my academic success, to be the anchor of pride for me. There's other kids that they would anchor their pride on their athletics or their social abilities and their charisma with others. For me, it was the academic thing. And the thing about being an academic person is you tend to isolate yourself. And that's what I did. Is I could be good in math. I was good with computers. I was good with dealing with numbers and graphs and charts. But dealing with people was not something that came easy to me. And it tended to isolate me. But it isn't just being a nerd that can do this. Also, in religious organizations, religions can actually set themselves up to be as if they're better than the rest of the world by making themselves exclusive. And only if you belong to my organization are you going to heaven. And if you're outside that organization, you're probably condemned. And some even say, well, that person didn't know the truth, but they still believe, they just don't believe our way. So there's a chance for them. But if you come up and belong to our group and you then turn your back on it, then you're gone, or you're lost for sure. But then there's this sense of pride that comes with that, because when you're an exclusive organization and people are saying, well, that's just the way those other people are, when you're in the church or in a religious organization and they're talking about others as if, well, they don't really know and you have to just forgive them and let it go. I mean, it sounds all very pious, but the reality is it's very prideful. And I don't know that religious organizations realize how damaging that is to the people that join their organization. I mean, even within the Bible itself, for those who are Bible believers, the main issue that supposedly Satan was condemned for was his pride. And when Jesus walked to this earth, he among all the people that he talked to, it was the Pharisees and the Sadducees that he condemned over and over and over again because of their pride. He was hardest on them over anybody because they were so prideful and hypocritical. And pride and hypocrisy go pretty well together, because people who are prideful, especially in a religious sense, they tend to believe that they know better than others, and then they end up doing the very things that and saying, well, they got a free pass from God, that others would do, that they would condemn. So, and being prideful is one of them. Right? So, pride is like a prison. And the reason why I say it's a prison is because pride is so hard to escape. Because feeling prideful is what boosts a person's confidence, right? That is where they can get puffed up and feel good about themselves because of this one area of their life where they're excelling, maybe, or maybe it's a couple or three areas, but they feel pride in themselves because they've become accomplished in these areas. And what that does is it makes them feel like they are above others who have not accomplished in those areas, and they will tend to look down on them. And it may not be overt, but it can be subtle. And when a person has that feeling of pride, then they don't really want to let go of it. They don't want to let go of that pride because they actually think it's helping them. And it is to a certain degree, because having the feeling of pride, that may be something that person built up over time in order to mask the deep insecurity that person has. And it's harder to go in and feel the insecurity and actually work through that insecurity and release it than it is to build up this sense of pride in a certain area and in certain accomplishments in order to overcome that insecurity. But the insecurity doesn't ever go away in that case because the pride is there masking it. And I see this actually, so I have a friend. I love him. But I see this. It's like he was bullied when he was young and got the shit beat out of him when he was in school. And he felt very insecure because he wasn't big and strong like these kids that picked on him. So he resolved that he was going to get big and he was going to become a fighter. He learned martial arts, he learned boxing, he worked out, and it got to the point where basically he can kick anybody's ass who comes up to him, comes up against him. He doesn't take shit from anybody. But that sense of pride also prevents him from allowing things to happen. Like if he feels that somebody has slighted him in any way, he can't forgive that person. He holds a grudge against that person. And it creates this barrier and this inability to repair relationships. And that's that trap, that's that prison that I'm talking about, is that this pride is something that he built up in order to conquer this fear that he had of these bullies. And when he got to the point where he's like, okay, now I'm to the point where I don't need to worry about anybody picking on me because I'm strong enough and I'm confident enough in what I've learned through life that I'll just kick their ass. And if they end up whooping my ass, at least I got my ass kicked trying. But he doesn't take any guff from anybody, and it's even to the point where he'll start fights just because he has to prove that he's tough enough. And it's a pride thing, right? And you can't talk somebody through that because society basically supports what he, what his belief is. It supports the whole idea that pride is important. Social media, movies, most shows, the people that are heroes, the people who are the leading actors and actresses are not ones who are humble. They're people who exhibit pride in their characters. And so it's obviously promoted through the media, and so society accepts it, and they believe that that's the way to be happy, or at least to survive. Anyway, so that's my thing about pride. I recognize it as something that's damaging, and my goal is to let it go, to let go of the pride. When I feel like I want to comment on somebody's video, or when I feel like I need to react, this has happened to me in my work environment where there have been emails that have gone back and forth, and then I feel like I need to make some kind of smart remark, or I have to respond in a certain way. And then I stop and I really think about it and ask myself, why do I want to do this? Is it really because I'm trying to get a message across that's helpful to the other party? Or is it because I want to make a statement that is boosting my ego and helping my pride to survive and thrive? So check it out for yourself. Look at the things that you do and the things that you say and how you react to people, and ask yourself if you're doing it to promote yourself, to give your own self prideful accolades, whatever you call them, or are you doing it out of a humble service to somebody else? That's all I have for today. Ciao.